Today on Carcass, we're on a mission to driveway rescue a car that will be our next project. We'll diagnose some issues and then get it back on the road.
Then surprise Pat and Frankie with a unique dyno session. And finally start tearing out the old stuff to make way for the new. Hey guys, welcome to Carcass. Today we're doing stuff a little bit different, and as you can see, we're not in the shop, and that's because we're doing a driveway rescue, but to find one of our own projects. So we're going to look at a car to see what we can do with it.
Yeah, we got a line on a car that had run at one point. The guy parked it, and now it doesn't run anymore. He's tried it a couple times. So we're doing a, well, Randwin Park type of thing and a driveway rescue for ourselves. So we got a whole bunch of parts from rockauto.com. We're gonna see if we can get this thing running, and then we'll try to get it back to the shop.
Yeah, it's funny because despite how popular these cars are and how much aftermarket support there is, neither you or I have ever done one like in our personal life, like doing projects. Yeah. And it's never been done on the show. So this should be pretty cool because these cars, I've driven a couple of them and they're super fun and they're cheap, and you can't really go wrong with them.
It's amazing at how many of those cars are actually out there. Mm-hmm. Like, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
This particular body style, we had some trouble trying to hunt one down, but we did find one that's in basically stock form, which was even more difficult. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this should be a fun project, and we'll get it back to the shop and see what we can do with it. And at that point, that's when we'll probably let you guys know exactly what the plans are for the car. But here shortly, you'll see what kind of car it is.
Yeah, I'm pumped.
Should be fun.
There it is.
Yeah, there she be. That's what we were looking for.
Yeah, let's check it out.
Looks interesting. It is stock. So.
It is, just minus the paint.
Well, it's got a good look to it.
Yeah.
Somebody had had some fun with the rattle can, but...
Pretty standard Honda stuff.
Yeah.
It's cool, though.
Well, the guy did say that it ran when he parked it, but supposedly it doesn't run anymore, so...
Well, let's just check the fluids in it, and then we can crank it, just see if we notice anything, hear anything, whatever.
Right.
We'll try it out.
Get the hood open. Oh, this is a unique little way to open the hood. Get like a vice grip on the cable here.
Oh yeah,
it's classic.
Broken.
That's classic.
Okay, it's a little dirty.
Right.
Got oil leaking from somewhere.
It was red at one point.
Yeah. Not a huge deal.
No.
But we'll just check everything over.
Make sure we got oil in it to start with.
Yeah. See if she cranks.
Yeah. Start there.
Yep.
Check the oil
out.
See if there's any coolant in it. Well, it looks like there's coolant in it, so we should be all right.
Wow, literally nothing in there. All right, need some oil. All right, got the good stuff. Between the dots. Good enough.
Fluid's good?
Yeah, it's all good. Let's just see if it'll crank.
Yeah, I'll see what happens here. Got nothing.
All right, let's just start checking if there's fuel and spark and all that stuff.
Yeah, all right. We'll start under the hood, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, I'll crank it.
Yeah, go ahead. To check for spark, we're using our Matco inline spark tester. That's good. Yeah?
Got spark?
Yep.
All right. Sure we got compression. So the next thing, I guess, is fuel.
Yeah, we can see if the injectors are getting voltage to them.
Yeah.
And then if not, take it from there.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, hold on 1 second, I'll tell you when.
To check for injector pulse, we'll use a Noid light from Matco Tools.
You're good. Yep.
Okay, got injector pulse then.
Yeah.
Suppose we just check fuel pump next, see if we even have fuel up here.
Yeah, we should be able to hear it when you turn the key on.
Right, that's back underneath the seat, so.
Yeah, let me put these away and I'll help you out.
Okay. Let's see what we got in a small little car here. Best part about these little Hondas, to get to the fuel pump, it's all underneath the seat here, so we don't have to crawl underneath the car to do any of this. It's right underneath there. Get this off of here and we'll test to see if we got power down here at the connector. Let's start with that. And see if we got voltage. Yep, we got voltage here. Let's put a pump in it. There it goes. We iron out a few more problems before we get our Honda on the road again. All right, now we'll just pull this one down. We'll throw on the new pump that we picked up from Rock Auto. And then we'll push this guy back. There we go. The hose clamp off that's in here. Looks like we got a little friend joining us today. Chickens! What you doing? All the parts your chicken will ever need in Rock Auto. Look at that.
While Jeremy's taking care of the fuel pump, I'm gonna throw in some of the Seafoam high mileage motor treatment. This stuff is specifically formulated for vehicles with over 75,000 miles, and our Honda has over 281,000 on the odometer, so it could use some help. And this stuff works in fuel and oil systems to help clean and lubricate, and this stuff will help clean our injectors.
Hose on it. Cool. Slide this back in the housing here. The connector back in it. We're all set.
While Jeremy's taking care of the fuel pump, I'm gonna replace the spark plugs. The ones that I'm taking out don't look too bad, but just to make sure we're not chasing ghosts, it's best to replace them. Just like all of our other parts, we got our spark plugs from rockauto.com. It's also a good idea when you get new spark plugs to check the gap, and on most cars under the hood there will be a catalyst sticker, and that'll actually tell you what the gap is. These ones are just about right out of the box. All right, just pop the plug wires in, we'll be good to go. All right, it's also a good idea to check the air filter. With this thing sitting so long, there might be some mice like built a nest in there or something. Hopefully not here. We'll see what we get. A little bit dirty. We got a new one from Rock Auto anyway, so we'll go ahead and replace it. Nice and clean. All right, Jeremy, I'm good up here.
Sweet, you got it taken care of?
Yep, just let me get these tools off here.
Yeah, I think we can try to fire this thing up. Hopefully it was that simple. Let's see what happens, what?
Yeah.
Here's hoping. Hey!
Nice, all right.
There we go. I wonder if it'll move. ready for a little rip, huh?
Yeah, just goose it once.
Wow. That's
I love that.
4 cylinders of raw horsepower,
Yeah.
Jimmy.
Dude, these things are fun though.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my buddies in high school, he had a CRX, which is, very similar platform.
Right.
And, he would let me drive that thing once in a while, and they're just like, a little slot car. And one day we were in the parking lot at our high school trying to go to lunch, and of course, there's only 2 entrances and 2 exits. And it was like just a madhouse, like, 100 cars behind us or whatever it was. And the transmission, something broke, and like he couldn't get it out of gear into neutral. So he had to just step on the clutch, and I had to push him out of the way of all these cars. Lovely. And then like the next weekend we went to a pick and pull, which is like a, pick your part, whatever.
Right.
And we went and got a transmission for it. And then he put it in, and the car was good.
They're quite simple to work on, actually.
Yeah, cheap, simple.
Yeah, cheap.
And the funny thing is that in probably the last 10 years, the prices haven't changed that much.
No, they've kind of just held their value.
Yeah, like a 200,000 mile Honda Civic 10 years ago probably cost about the same, like three-ish grand, 3 to 4.
And dealing with Rock Auto and getting all the parts from them, super simple. All you gotta do is jump online, order your stuff up. Takes a couple days for you to get it. And you can just put whatever you need in your car, stuff as simple as oil change stuff. If you gotta do any hard parts, like, wheel bearings or axle shafts or struts.
Yeah. And it's nice too because the Hondas, there's a few different chassis, so just clicking through the menus makes it real easy. Make sure you get the right part for your actual car. Right,
yeah, and they break it all down, like you said, chassis and engines and transmissions, automatics or manuals.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good, easy website to navigate, which is kind of hard to come by every now and again.
It is, yeah. We slapped the rev limiter in our Civic, trying for all the horses that this little 4-banger has. Bring her in, Jimmy.
What the heck is this doing here?
We brought you a car.
New project.
If you can call it that.
Yeah.
It's a car.
Well, I heard it driving through, and I thought it was the Paperboy's moped that had the muffler fell off it.
No, this is 4 cylinders of raw horsepower.
Jeez.
All 4 of them.
Okay, so is a VTEC car?
Nope, single overhead cam. It's a D16, which means a 1.6 liter.
Okay.
From the factory, maybe 105, 10 horsepower.
Yeah, it's all there.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the plan for it?
So this started as our driveway rescue, and even though it's rattle can black, like every other Honda out there, this thing is like bone stock. So that's what we were kind of looking for, and now we're going to turn it into a rally car.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got some plans for it, under the hood type stuff down the way, but we want to get a baseline horsepower number, so that's where you guys come into play.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, I kind of bag on these cars a lot, but the bottom line is, if you're modifying a car and someone's working on a car, I can really appreciate that. I don't care what kind of car it is. If you're modding it and you're having fun, that's what drives this industry forward. But this like this, I have literally 0 experience with, so I guess the first thing is to get it up on the roller to see what it makes. What do you think it's going to make?
88.
Even 100.
Wow.
A little optimistic on that one. What do you think?
Probably like 85, yeah.
Man, I'm hoping it'll make 80. I'm the low guy on that one, but I don't know anything about them. So strap her up on the old roller, and then we get up there, pop the hood. I want to take a look at the engine.
Winner gets a Coke. Whoever's close enough, you get a Coke.
Oh boy.
Right? Yeah, right there. That's perfect.
Do you need
There
my?
it is.
You can find
I
it,
got it.
yeah.
I got it.
Do you
I
need
got
my
it.
Leatherman? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is actually a relatively clean-looking rig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got some
Nice.
oil issues, well, oil leaks, but
Wow.
we'll take care of those.
Yeah.
Hey,
it's a
it's
good
got
start.
oil in it.
Yeah.
You're good to go.
We're just here to find out what kind of power it makes.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Well,
Cool.
get a tack
Yeah.
rig there. All right, light it.
All right.
I'm a little scared.
Yeah. This way we stand over
on this
here.
side.
Yeah.
Brake
All
off.
right, brake is off. Okay, just creep it into gear.
It rolls the
Nice and
dyno,
easy.
you know.
Very nice. All right.
It's pretty good at this for his first time.
Yeah.
wherever you want to start, punch your green button and run it as high as you want.
Ready? Come on, Honda.
Is that on the floor? Keep going. All right.
We were over 100 mile an hour.
Are you ready?
yeah.
Are you ready for the big?
Wait. What did he spin RPMs to?
That was 6,000.
6?
It
Okay.
sounded
All
like
right.
6 million.
Official number, 91.55.
Oh, nicely
man.
done. That was only the first pull. We can go up more.
Totally underestimated that
It made
thing.
99.78 pound-feet of torque. Woo! I am thoroughly
Yeah.
impressed.
That was enough to rip the plastic dip off the tires. That's great. Wow.
It
That's
wasn't
crazy.
that bad.
Yeah, no.
It sounded like it was going to come apart. Like, not in a bad way, but it just, RPM sounded way different. The
It made
Yeah.
made peak power at 5,500. You say and it's not going to make any more power over 6, but that is pretty cool. Now it's a little notchy, but you know, I didn't even know what to expect on this thing. Do another one.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
It's funny.
When that thing popped at the end, about
fell over.
about ran.
I love this. This is fun. I
Yeah.
mean, it's on here backwards.
That's so weird, though.
There's only 4 cylinders. The engine's sitting this way.
Everything is bad. Everything is wrong. It's
You literally blew the plastic dip off that time.
Yeah,
Nice.
there's debris came out. I panicked for a second there. Okay, woo,
93. Come on.
93.
awesome. Yeah, all right.
I mean, we can make like 18 more pulls on it until it breaks 100, I guess. But at some point, it looks like you're gonna run out of gas. I see you're low on the petrol.
Yeah, we're a little low.
That was spicy.
Yeah, that was cool.
We got a good baseline. We know where we're going to start. Once we get down underneath the hood, we're not going to tell you what we're going to do. We're going to bring it back. We'll do it all over again.
No, that's cool. I mean,
That will be cool. Yeah, bring it back and we'll see what it.
We're going to take care of the engine stuff this time.
oh really? Okay.
It's not major, but we're going to take care of it. On
No,
our
I mean, the nice part about these, there's tons and tons of parts available for them.
Yeah.
And for what you're doing, I'm not only the engine side, but rally car stuff. You know, that gets right back to. That's what I used to do. You know, on a very amateur scale back in Michigan,
Yeah.
going through the woods
Yeah.
with cars like this. You know, they were rear-wheel drive. You know, American cars. But this is going to be cool. I really like this. And success. It's all in one piece, and that's always
Yeah.
a win.
Let's get it on
Awesome.
scrap. We'll go back to work down there, huh?
All right.
Let's do it.
Dang.
Coming up, we start tearing into our Honda to make room for some big plans. All right, bring that back in here. Yeah, that's good enough. Right there will work. You know, the way that you were revving this thing when you were on the dyno, I thought you were like gonna shoot to the moon and back.
It's just funny because this thing makes so much noise for being so tiny, and it just faces the wrong way on the dyno.
Right. Well, if you guys haven't picked up by now and we were down talking to Frankie and Pat, we're gonna be turning this thing into a little rally car.
And the way we're gonna do that is we're gonna start on the interior, fitting up some racing seats and a roll cage. Then we'll go up front and add some power in the form of a turbo kit, and we'll throw up some axles to help strengthen everything up. And then we will add in some rally-specific coilovers to make this thing handle on the course.
At the very end, we're gonna toss on a very specific set of wheels and tires for rallycross, and then we're gonna run this thing around the course. But I think we should just dive inside, get rid of all the interior. We'll make way for those new seats and that roll cage.
Let's rip it out.
Somebody's been in here already.
A lot of trash in here too. Little donut. That's tiny. I mean, these are already tiny, but. Okay, those are ready to come out. Oh, coming out. There's one,
all of
I
them.
guess.
Are they the plastic insert ones?
Yeah, the plastic ones are kind of junk.
Can it go your way?
Yeah.
Right on the seatbelt. That's a giant piece of plastic.
Yeah.
All right, let's try.
Yeah. Just be
That's a dash. All right, we're ready. Oh, phewy. Yeah, that's nasty stuff. You take it, I don't want it. Oh wait, we got some wires. All right, you're good. Phew. All right, check this out. You know, we ripped out the entire interior, but I did a little bit of wiring, and it still runs.
See, that's good because we know we didn't rip out anything we didn't need.
Right.
And now we can start getting to fitting our seats and putting the cage in.
Yeah, but I think that pretty much wraps it up for us today.
I think so.
If you guys want more information on the show, or if you're interested in the parts that we put in the Honda to get it running, why don't you go to PowerNationTV.com.
And while you're there, go ahead and check out our project pages where you can get full build details on past projects like the tow truck and Project Junk Mail, and even current projects like our Civic.
Cool, what do you think we start cleaning up?
Yeah, might as well.
Today on Carcass, our Rally Honda is in the shop and we start prepping for its day at the track. We'll show you how to make new racing seats fit in the factory locations by using some existing hardware.
Then we'll fabricate a custom roll cage that'll keep us safe out on the course. Hey guys, welcome to Carcass. Today we've got our 1996 Honda Civic in the shop, and last time we got the entire interior stripped out, and now we're ready to move on.
And how this all got started was with a driveway rescue. When we found our Civic, it wasn't in running condition and had been parked for a while. So after doing a quick tune-up and replacing the fuel pump, we fired this thing up and took it for a test drive. Then we brought it back to the shop and took it down to engine power for Pat and Frankie's very first front-wheel drive dyno pulls. And you could say the numbers we got were pretty surprising.
93.
Awesome, yeah, all right.
After we were all done with that, we brought it back down to our shop and started stripping the interior to prep for our roll cage. What we have in store for our little hatchback is to make this into a bona fide rally car, adding some race seats and 5-point harnesses to go along with our roll cage.
To help in the horsepower category, we're going to throw on a better flowing intake and injectors, upgrading the clutch and axles, and top it off with a turbo. To finish the look, we'll give it a rally-inspired paint job and wrap it up with a set of new wheels and rally-specific tires. So today we're going to be addressing some safety equipment and fitting up a couple racing seats and building a roll cage.
And we don't want to work on this thing when it's so low to the ground, so the first thing we're going to do is build a set of wheel stands. A quick and easy way to build a set of wheel stands is by using some 2x4s. They're plenty strong, and our Civic doesn't weigh that much anyways. Plus, this will get our Civic off the ground, and yet it'll still keep the suspension loaded, which is ideal for us as we start building out our roll cage. When making your wooden wheel stands or cribs, you'll want to measure the width of your tire to help you decide on how long to cut your boards. You'll also want to know the desired height you want to get your project off the ground. We're going with a foot, which will give us plenty of room to work around our Honda. We cut our boards to about 14 inches apiece. That gives us a good saddle for our Honda tires to sit in, plus makes these things usable for other projects. So now what we do is just stack them up, kind of like Jenga, and then we just screw them down. When assembling, you may want to pre-drill your holes to help your wood from splitting on the ends. All right, take a look at these things.
Oh yeah, that's going to be nice.
That's good right there.
Got it.
There we go. Yeah, that'll do it.
That's going to make it a lot easier on us too.
Yeah.
So we're not stooped over the whole time.
Yeah, this is a good working height right here.
For our driver's seat, we're going with RaceQuip's FIA certified full containment composite seat. If you've ever had a high performance driving experience, or if you've ever just whipped a car around a turn really fast, you could probably look at the seat and tell it's not going to hold you in that well. But with these seats, we have the nice hip, shoulder, and helmet bolsters that keep you locked in and help you control the car a lot better. We also got these nice aluminum mounting brackets, but we will be modifying those because the overall idea here is to take our stock sliders and mount them to this seat. That way we can adjust for different driver heights. And if you've ever mounted seats before, it just kind of sucks because oftentimes you have to try and contour metal to match the floor, and it's very time consuming, versus these, they already fit in the car, so it's just dead easy. So I gotta start by taking these brackets off. After taking off the nuts on the left side bracket, we can use the air hammer to pop off the rivets holding on the other. Oh, that easy. A little superficial damage, but nothing crazy. All right. Now we can take off the adjuster handle. This is held on with a couple spot welds, so we'll drill them out and the bracket comes right off. This is our left side seat mount. So the idea here is to take a measurement between this hole and this stud, transfer it to the bottom face of our new mount, and then I'm actually going to drill 2 or 3 holes and slot them, because that way when the seat is mounted, it'll allow for some adjustment of the rails, because you don't want them to bind, and that way they'll glide freely. So I just got to take a measurement. It's about 12.5. With our measurement, I'll scribe out where we need to make our holes on our bracket. Then we can start drilling out the holes. The last thing we got to do is use a die grinder and make these into slots. And here's a tip for using a die grinder. There are bits out there like this one that are specific for aluminum, but if you don't have one and you only have one that's used for steel, they can load up with aluminum. So one way to get around that is to take a bar soap that you get from the store, just any generic brand, and load up the bit first. That way the aluminum doesn't get in there and just make your life a nightmare. We don't need these perfect, just enough so the seat bracket can move freely. All right, put this dude on, then we can move on to the other side. For our other seat bracket, I'll use the factory bracket to mark my holes with a punch, drill them out, and mount them up. Now let's see how this thing fits. Everything's kind of loose, so I can make sure everything's gonna line up. And it looks like everything's lining up pretty well, so we'll throw some bolts in it. Now we can start on the cage. Coming up, we start making plans for our rally car roll cage. I've got the seat installed now, and I actually have it slid far enough back where it's too far away for my preference, but that way it simulates if there is someone who's taller than me driving. So now I can work on placing the main hoop. And if you are doing any kind of racing, it's a good idea to consult whatever rule book there is available. That way you can build your cage and make sure it's legal. So now all I have to do is take some measurements, cut, bend, and we'll see where we're at. I'm gonna put a piece of tape roughly in the center of the roof. I'm actually gonna take a measurement across the roof and mark the center, because I think it's easier to build hoops from the center out rather than try to do it from one end. So this is 35 3/4 divided by 2, 17.5 plus 3/8 is 1770. Okay, now I'm gonna put my cheater up here roughly where the tube's gonna land. Measure from my mark on the cheater to the center, 13 1/4. And I'll subtract probably a 1/2 inch just to give myself some room over here against the body. .52, okay. With our measurements, we can head over to the chop saw and start cutting our tube. We're using 1.5 inch by 120 wall DOM for our cage. With it cut, we can head over to the tubing bender and get started on the main hoop and the side hoops. One more bend, then we should be good. 2. That's right about 2. Cool. Cool. That's it. All right. Fits pretty good. Actually hits the roof in a couple spots, which we can weld it there, add some more rigidity. At this point, we have the 3 most difficult tubes to make out of the way. We've got the side hoops in and we have the main hoop in. There's plenty of clearance between the back of the seat and the main hoop, which is something we were looking for. And these 3 tubes are the base of any roll cage, so we'll have no problem making the rest of the tubes off of them. And before we start tacking anything in, we have to consider how we're gonna weld the top portion of the cage. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a mark around where each tube lands, and then we'll take a hole saw and drill a hole in the floor. That way, once the cage is completed, we can drop everything down and we'll have access with our torch up at the top. So right now, I just gotta mark some holes and get the cage out of here. All right, that's all of them. We've got our holes cut in the floor now, and while this is a common method of constructing roll cages, if you've never done one before, you might be wondering how the heck we're gonna keep the roll cage up now that we have holes in the floor. So all we're gonna do is make a plate to go over the hole and under the roll cage, and then later on, that plate will get welded to the floor, and then the cage will get welded on top of the plate. So I just gotta take some measurements and I'll cut it out on the iron worker. It's about 6.5 by 3.5. For our plates, we'll be using some 1/8 inch steel. All right, now we can keep working on our roll cage. We'll show you a cool trick on how to remove factory sound deadening, plus put the finishing touches on our roll cage. All right, that'll work. We have our floor plates made now, and we have to prep the floor for welding later. We've got this sound deadening stuff on the floor and we have to get rid of it. One way to do that is to use a propane torch and something to scrape it with, but that just makes this hot, gooey mess. The way that we're gonna do it is use a mixture of dry ice and rubbing alcohol. And what that does, it kind of just freezes everything and helps separate the glue from the floor, and it doesn't leave a sticky residue. You'll wanna make sure you're wearing a pair of insulated gloves when doing this to protect you from frostbite burns. Okay. So that crackling sound that you're hearing is actually the glue releasing from the floor. So once that kind of stops, we'll know it's a good time to start scraping. All right, I think this is ready. I'm gonna move this to a new spot, and then I'll see if we can't get this up. Oh yeah. It's coming off easy now. Yeah, nice. After the floor is clean of the sound deadening, we can take our wire brush and clear up any seam sealer or glue that was left in the corners. And then finish prepping the surface with a grinder. All right, now we have the floor prepped and we can start throwing down the base plates and put together the cage. Side hoop number 1. All right, gotta get the welding stuff. You could MIG weld these joints, but I'm gonna be using the TIG welder. The reason for this is because it's my preference and that's what I'm comfortable with. I'll start by tacking in the main hoop and the door bars, then add our dash bar, followed by the upper hoop cross member. Next, we can add our corner gussets. Finally, I'll tack in the upper roof braces. All the tubes that we have in here now need to be welded before I keep going forward. Once I put the door bars in, the cage won't be able to drop as far down through the floor. So right now I'm going to pull the floor plates, drop this thing down, and start welding the top. With our cage all the way down, I can access the top of the roll cage and fully weld all the joints. Then we'll slide the cage back up and drop in our plates. We'll lay down a few tacks to hold everything in place. And then we'll go back and fully weld everything in. This will give us a super strong base for the roll cage. With the plates fully welded to the floor, now we can TIG the roll cage to the base plates. With the main portion of our cage all welded in, the next thing I'm going to do is fit up our harness bar. And there's one really important thing that you have to consider when you put this in. To make sure that the harnesses work properly, the top of the bar has to be level with your shoulders or up to 20 degrees below. I've already had the seat in here, so I made a mark where my shoulders were, so all I have to do is tack this in. All right, with that tacked in place, I have a couple more support tubes to put in and the rear support section, but other than that, this cage is looking really good.
With our roll cage done, now we can start tearing out our engine.
I've got the cage all wrapped up in the seat in here and everything fits great. The cross braces, down bars, and door bars all fit up no problem, and I'm really happy with how this thing came out. So now we're moving on to everything under the hood.
And the plan there is to add some horsepower to our little 4-cylinder. There's a couple things we want to take care of. We're going to end up replacing the clutch. We're going to end up taking care of a couple little oil leaks and probably throw a timing belt at it. It's going to be a whole lot easier if we just pick the engine and transmission clean out of the car. So that's where we're going to start.
We're not going to need this anymore. Get out some of these electrical connectors. Get the radiator out of here next.
Moving over to some hard parts on the engine, I'll remove the bolts that hold on the heat shield, followed by the nuts that hold on our exhaust manifold. With our exhaust out of the way, it makes it easy to access our AC compressor. So small, so tiny, and our lower motor mount. So this is what you find on high mileage cars, like our Honda's got over 250,000 on it. This is one of 4 motor mounts. So we're definitely gonna have to replace that because that's completely shot. You know, this is one thing a lot of people forget about. You know, motor mounts, it's just something that you don't think about replacing, but they do need to be replaced. We're almost done underneath here. I got a couple more connections. Then we gotta go down, take some of the suspension apart because I gotta get the axle shafts out. It's coolant temp sensor. That's the distributor. Here's another coolant temp sensor. this car is coming apart quite easily. That's why I love Southern cars. Just like that. It just straight up fell apart. It goes through there now. Well, at this point, don't matter. We're not reusing them. There, that works. Now that I've made a giant mess with axle grease, I'm gonna put the suspension back together because we do plan on rolling this thing around. Then we'll go underneath the hood, get rid of a couple connections, grab the cherry picker, get that engine out of there. Perfect timing. With our engine supported, we'll loosen the rest of the motor mounts and pick this little 4-cylinder out of its home. Yeah, you're clear. Man, that sure did come out of here easily, but that thing's filthy and so is the inside of the car, actually.
Yeah, I'm gonna take this outside and power wash it. Maybe you wanna roll this thing out there?
Yeah, I'll just do the inside of the engine bay here. This will be simple. I can push the car out by myself.
Before we wash this thing, we're gonna spray it down with some heavy-duty degreaser to break up some of the dirt and grime. To clean this stuff up, we're using a Bauer 2300 PSI electric pressure washer that we picked up from Harbor Freight. The 13-amp brushless motor delivers 2300 PSI of cleaning force and delivers over 30% more cleaning power than standard electric pressure washers. It plugs into a regular 120-volt outlet using a 35-foot power cord. This quiet pressure washer puts out 1.2 gallons per minute, comes with 4 quick connect spray nozzles, and has an onboard detergent tank for improved cleaning.
If you like anything you've seen on the show today, why don't you check us out at PowerNationTV.com.
And be sure to check out our project pages where you can stay up to date on any past and current projects, like our square body tow truck, Project Junk Mail, and our Rally Honda.
Thanks for watching Carcass.
Oh yeah, not too bad. Today on Carcass, we stripped down our leaky 1.6-liter Honda Civic engine, replacing some common wear items to freshen it up for some upgrades later.
Plus, we add a performance clutch to help our little hatchback get around the course. Then we head into the paint booth to lay down a rally-inspired paint scheme with some sporty graphics. Hey guys, welcome to Carcass. We've made pretty good progress on our little Honda Civic rally car. We've managed to strip the entire interior, Jimmy built a killer roll cage, and we even plucked the motor out of this thing.
And today I've got a new timing belt and some gaskets to replace on the engine to keep it running a little while longer, and I've got a new clutch to throw at it to put the power down on the dirt.
I'm gonna let you take care of the engine side of things. I'm gonna disappear with the car so we can start prepping, because we're gonna do a color change.
I'll help you push. Our engine has almost 300,000 miles and we're not really too sure of the history of it. And this thing, for all we know, could be a reman. So we're gonna be replacing a couple parts like the timing belt, and we're gonna try and fix an oil leak, so we're gonna throw some gaskets at it too. I'm gonna start taking off these 2 front belts to give myself some room, and I'll start taking it apart. Take these plug wires out, get the valve cover off, and see what we got. Come on. There we go. There we go. All right, at this point is where things start to get a little bit tricky. On the cam gear here, there's a mark 180 degrees out from each other, and then the word up is stamped into the cam gear. These 2 marks should line up with the top surface of the cylinder head and make sure up is in the up direction so you don't have everything rotated 180 degrees. Along with the 2 marks on the cam gear, there's also a mark on the crank pulley itself that'll line up with an indicator on the front of the timing cover. So I'm just gonna rotate the engine until I can get all those in good alignment. All right, that looks pretty close. Now I can take the crank pulley off, and once I crack the bolt loose, I'll go back and double check to make sure the marks are still in alignment. Oh yeah, not too bad. Yeah, nicely done. Cool. I left the belt on here when I cracked the bolt loose on the cam gear because that way it provides some resistance, so when you back the bolt out, it doesn't just spin the cam gear. Tensioner out. Spins okay, it doesn't feel too loose, but while you're in here, it's probably a good idea to go ahead and replace this. Junk. Gasket junk. Nice. I'm gonna take this cam gear off, and that way I can take the plastic cover behind it off, inspect the cam seal, and then replace it if we need to. Yeah, I've seen better. It even looks like maybe it's dripped down onto here, so we'll go ahead and replace it. Oh, we got ya. Yeah. It's also a good idea to replace the water pump while we're in here too. I'm going to torque these down to 102 inch-pounds. Put this front cover back on, and then the cam gear. With the cam gear in place, we'll put on the new belt with the tensioner. And don't forget the spring. All right, so we'll torque down the tensioner to 33 pound-feet, and then after that, I can torque down the cam gear, and I've already made sure that the timing marks are still in the correct spot. Then I'll throw on the timing cover, throw the valve cover on it, and then I can move on to the back of the engine. Coming up, with the front of our engine all buttoned up, we turn our focus to the rear, adding a performance clutch setup.
So I've been sanding on this Honda for just a little bit, and this is what I found. The flat black that's on this car is extremely thin, and it's coming off quite easily. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm actually gonna strip the car completely down to the red. I'm gonna do that for 2 reasons. One, I have no idea what type of product or paint was laid down for this color. And 2, I have no idea how well the car was prepped before it was painted. Now we want our paint to stick very well, so I'm just gonna strip all the black off, get all the way down to the red, make sure that's prepped. We'll lay some sealer down, and then we'll start laying our color down. The easiest way for me to get to that point is to just keep sanding.
I got the front of the engine done now, and I'm ready to move on to the back. So I'm gonna upgrade the clutch, replace the oil pan gasket, and while I'm there, I'm gonna check out the rear main seal and see if that needs to be replaced. To access the rear main seal, I'll remove the old clutch and the flywheel. there's a lot of oil down there. That's for sure. Yeah, that probably needs to be replaced. I'm gonna be replacing the rear main seal and the gasket for the rear main seal cover. And to do that, I have to take the oil pan off, so I gotta get this engine off the table and we'll tear into it. Nope, it's stuck on there. All right, let's see. Just be kind of gentle with this thing. Don't want to break it. Almost. There we go. All right, I'm gonna replace the seal, get the gasket on, and we'll be good to go. We'll clean off the old gasket with a razor blade. Knock out the old seal. And install the new one. And we'll put some gasket maker on the rear main seal cover and the block. All right, time to reassemble. All right, I'll torque these down and then we'll move on to the oil pan. Gonna put a little gasket maker on here to get the gasket to stick, then we can throw it on there. All right, try to put this guy on here. Oh yeah. Because we're throwing more horsepower at our Honda, we decided to upgrade the clutch as well. So we went to AutoZone and got this Stage 2 clutch from Exidy. This features a cerametallic 3-puck disc that has a sprung center damper to handle any impact or shock loads, and this thing is just flat out designed for more horsepower. To pair with that, we also got the Exidy flywheel. It's made from one piece of chromoly and designed to be lightweight, low inertia, and have a high thermal capacity, which will be great for when we're out on the rally course. Once installed, we'll snug it down and torque it to final spec. With that in place, we can install the clutch disc and the pressure plate. All right, that wraps up our engine for now, and as soon as Jeremy's done painting, we can drop this thing back in.
Next on Carcass, we turn our focus to the body of our Honda and start our rally-themed paint job.
I've got our engine stuff all wrapped up with a new clutch and some other new parts to keep that thing running for a little while longer. While I was taking care of that, Jeremy prepped our Honda.
And now it's time to lay down some color, but as you guys can see, we are standing outside. And that's because our paint booth inside's a little preoccupied, but we do have a solution for that. We're gonna paint this in a little portable paint booth that we got from Mobile Environmental Solutions. So we gotta push this thing inside, we'll start laying down some color. All right, now we'll give it a quick wipe down, then we'll move on to sealer. While I get my paint gear on and ready, Jimmy's gonna mix up some Summit Racing 2.1 VOC primer sealer. I'll lay this down in 2 medium wet coats. What this will do is give us a uniform base to lay down our first color coat, and will reduce the chance of our solvent lifting or reactions to the original paint on the Honda. After the first coat flashes off to hand slick, we'll lay down our second coat. The reason why I chose a white sealer is because the base color for our Honda is also white, and we didn't want to have to lay down a ton of paint to make the white really pop. So pay attention when you're ordering your paint products. Use the best color sealer to make your colors really come to life. Just like with our sealer, the color we're putting down on the Honda also came from Summit Racing. This is their 3.5 VOC paint, and the color choice is Champ White. Now this is mixed 2-to-1, and we're gonna spray the entire Honda with this. And we'll come back later and put down a couple accent colors. But first, I gotta get this mixed up and then sprayed on the Honda. Oh, that's perfect. All right, we'll get this mixed up, get it in the gun. We'll go lay down our first color. And like we said earlier, we're using our Mobile Environmental Solutions 23x15 HDLT portable spray booth. These paint booths are American made with commercial grade quality. They perform just like a permanent fixed style paint booth. They draw in clean air from the outside and move it through the booth to keep your paint job nice and clean. Having a clean environment is very important to a quality paint job. And being able to paint outside in natural sunlight, well, that gives you a huge advantage in seeing how your paint is being laid down and what the finished product truly looks like outside. Don't go away, we add graphics to our Civic, finishing up our rally car paint scheme. All right, so we've laid down our first base color and it's had time to flash off, but now it's time to move on to some masking.
And if you've ever seen a rally car before, you would know that they usually have a really crazy color scheme, and while we're not gonna get as complex, we will have a few colors, so we're gonna mask off and lay down some blue.
Like Jimmy said, our color scheme isn't complex, but the way we have to mask off for those colors is a little tricky. As we start laying out our lines for the blue, we want to make sure we keep in mind how we're going to mask off for the third and fourth colors. This makes it easier as we go back to remask between colors. Now, while it's not ideal for two people to be masking off at the same time, Jimmy and I both have discussed the layout of the paint scheme on the car and are following specific lines on the body to get a uniform look. And once we have our lines laid out on the car, we'll come back and start laying down the paper so we can spray our first color. A good, clean mask job plays a huge part in the finished product. Okay, so the Honda's all masked off and we're ready to lay down some paint. And the first accent color is going to be Summit's Blue Sky Metallic. Once we get everything mixed up, I'll get it in the gun, head into the booth, and start laying it down. For the blue, we'll lay down 2 to 3 medium wet coats to get a uniform coverage, allowing 5 minutes flash time between each coat. All right, that wraps up the blue. We'll let this flash, then we'll come back and mask off for the red. Woo, that's red! We'll follow that same process for the Viper Red. We'll lay this down in 3 coats as well. Once the red has had time to flash off, we'll go back and mask off for our third color, which is Summit's Silver Rush Metallic. And to wrap it all up and protect our paint, we'll spray down 2 wet coats of Summit Racing 2.1 VOC Clear Coat. This will help protect our paint and all our hard work for years to come.
Oh yeah, this thing in the sun looks great.
Look at this.
You did a really good job laying down the paint in the clear. And I think we did just enough, you know, a little something to make it look like a rally car.
It looks really, really good. But right now, I'm tired, I'm sweaty, and I think we should just call it a day.
Yeah. Well, if you guys like anything you've seen today, go to PowerNationTV.com.
And you can also go there and check out our project pages and get a little more information on past builds like our Postal Jeep or some info on our little rally car here. So,
all right, let's deflate it.
yeah, let's go. And shut these things off, huh? Today on Carcass, it's a hunt for horsepower. We head out to a local salvage yard in search of a specific intake that can handle our pursuit of power.
Then we head back to the shop to start assembling our turbo system, strap it to the dyno, and see how much we gain.
Hey guys, welcome to Carcass. Now our little Honda rally car sure is starting to take shape, and we've gotten a lot done so far. We've managed to tear out the entire interior, add a custom roll cage with some racing seats. We stripped the entire car down and added a custom paint job, and we also stripped the motor out, added a new clutch, and did some maintenance issues.
And as you can see, we're not in the shop today because we're looking for some very specific parts to go along with the turbo kit we're going to install on the Honda. So we're out here at Express Pull and Save, where Hondas are plentiful and the parts are cheap.
And looks like we're going towards the imports on this one.
Yeah.
I think the imports are down and around this corner somewhere. Now what we're looking for is an intake manifold off of a specific Honda Civic. Now there were a couple different engine options in these cars. Jimmy and I just have to find out which car has it. Oh, no, I'm going this way.
I'll keep finishing this row. All right, here's one Honda engine, and I already know it's not the one we're looking for. It's very similar to the one that we have because the intake manifold right here, and also a surefire way to tell is the number stamped on the front of the engine block. This is a D16Y7. The one that we're looking for is a D16Y8. They're both very similar in that they're both single overhead cam, but the D16Y8 is a VTEC motor, has a different intake manifold, and makes more horsepower. So I just got to keep looking.
Here's a little Honda Civic right here, and it seems basically all put together. It actually does have an intake manifold that we could use, but this is a D16Y5. It does share the exact same intake manifold as the Y8, except it has a provision for an EGR valve. Now we'd have to block this off, and that's just a little extra work, so we might as well just keep searching for that Y8 manifold.
Got another one here. Oh, somebody took pretty much the whole top end out of it. It is a Y8 though.
What'd you come up with? Did you find something?
Yeah, this is the motor we're looking for, but somebody picked all the parts out of it already.
But it is a Y8.
Yeah.
Should probably look around to see if anything's laying on the ground. And look at this. Right here, Jimmy. Somebody pulled the head off of this, and it's got the intake on it still.
Awesome.
I don't know what they were searching for, but they left it all here.
It's funny because like, I can't tell you how many times I've been to a salvage yard and found stuff like in the back seat or like in the trunk. Maybe someone was saving it, but on the ground is just as good, so.
Yeah, just laying around.
Oh, actually, I'll take this dipstick too because you broke ours, so.
Right. Well, we'll just get the intake off of this head because we only need the intake, and then we'll get out of here and get back to the shop. All right, well, we only need the intake and the throttle body, so I'm gonna get rid of these injectors and this fuel rail. Then we can get back to the shop. Rail off of here. Grab my tools, and we're out of here. Ready to go back to the shop?
All right, that's the last piece of our turbo setup, I think.
Yeah, we can go back there and set the motor in and get to work on that turbo. Well, we had some pretty good luck at the junkyard finding exactly what we needed, and Jimmy's got that new intake over in the parts washer and he's cleaning it up. So I got to get this one off of here so we can slap the new one on. We'll spend some time making sure we clean all the old gasket material off before we put the new gasket on.
All right, it's all cleaned up.
Perfect. Let's get that put on here. We'll get this all buttoned up before we get this motor back in the Honda.
All right, I'll grab the alternator too.
Sounds good. After we snug these all up, we'll torque them down to 17 foot-pounds.
Before we put the engine back in the car, we're gonna replace one of the harder to get to parts near the bottom of the engine. So we got this 100% brand new Duralast Gold alternator that we picked up from AutoZone. Duralast Gold alternators are engineered to deliver power that meets or exceeds the original equipment on your vehicle. Every unit is 100% new and made with proprietary components and processes to ensure maximum life and performance. Every unit is even triple tested to ensure the highest quality and provide the output to power today's vehicles. I'm leaving this a little loose for now so we can put a belt on it later, but otherwise, we just gotta throw the transmission on this and get it in the car.
Don't go away. We start boosting our little 4-cylinder, looking for some big power.
We've made a lot of progress on our Honda. We got the engine and transmission back in it with the new intake manifold on it, and we have the harness all plugged back in. So now is the time we can start adding everything to make more power.
And the way we plan on almost doubling our horsepower in our little Civic is by adding a turbo kit. Now we picked this one up from CX Racing, and the heart of this whole setup is right here at the turbo. The turbo has a 50mm compressor wheel, a 63mm turbine wheel, and a T3 flange. We also picked up their fully fabricated exhaust manifold. We have the blow-off valve and a wastegate. We also got the intercooler and all of the charge piping, and we opted for their radiator and a cooling fan. Now this kit will make up to 350 horsepower. All we're looking to do is get a little over the 200 mark. So we got to get this thing installed, and that all starts right here with the manifold. Jimmy, can you hand me the turbo? I think you got it coming from that side, yeah.
Where's that gasket?
Oh, I got it. There's actually quite a bit of room in the engine bay. It's just kind of hard to weasel everything around. If you can hold that right there. I'll try to get a bolt started here.
Got one?
Yeah, I got one in there. That should hold it in place for now until we get a little further along here.
Yeah.
All right.
So the intercooler is going to go somewhere between the bumper and the radiator support. So we got to take the bumper off, and that way we can figure out where all the turbo piping goes. Okay, so basically we just want to mount the intercooler kind of centered between the two sides of the radiator support. And it's probably best to mount this first just so we can adapt the tubes to meet these inlet and outlets. And then we'll just make some L brackets and actually weld them to this part of the radiator support here. So off to the plasma table. The brackets are pretty simple. We'll just cut a slot for a little bit of adjustability and then add 2 holes so we can rosette weld them to the radiator support, and then a 90-degree bend to finish it off. We'll grind off where we're going to weld and then tack it in place.
Now that Jimmy has the intercooler mocked up, it's time to move on to the charge side of our turbo system. Now we do have one piece of pipe that fits here, that's up here on the intake, and lands down here on the inner fender. Now this pipe is perfect because it gets us out of the way of our radiator, and it starts heading us in the direction to get to our intercooler. Now there is some sheet metal in the way, so I gotta drill a hole. Let's start with this pipe first. We'll just snug this up for now. Let's see how this all kind of fits in here, maybe. That one up there. That'll kind of work.
Okay, so probably to just shorten this section.
Right.
And then we'll actually just weld this as one piece.
Yeah, we'll get rid of the coupler. We can just weld it together there.
Okay.
Cool. You take care of that.
Kind of got an idea of what to do. All right, let's see. Put this guy on. Twist this around. Make sure everything's lined up and mark it. Once we have it marked, we'll head over to the welding table and TIG it up. Now let's check this thing for the last time. Yeah, I'd call that a win. Now I just got to do the other side.
Well, Jimmy's working on the other side of the intercooler. I'm gonna take care of one more plumbing issue, and that's the oil side of the turbo. There. Then, get this down here on the oil pan. We already welded in AN fitting when we had the motor out. So all we gotta do is just connect this hose, and that's the return side of the turbo. For the pressure side, we'll tee off the pressure port that is shared with the oil pressure sending unit. We'll run it up to the front of the car and hook it up to the turbo. How does that fit?
Really good. Yeah, nothing too crazy. A little modification here and there, but
Cool.
yeah.
So we got just the blow-off valve to work with and the wastegate, but I'm sure they fit just fine. A couple more things to button up, but I think next we should probably tackle the fuel system.
Yeah, easy enough. Coming up, we added boost, so now we have to add more fuel. We've got most of the turbo stuff wrapped up on the front end of the car, but a really important piece of this equation is providing the engine with enough fuel at the right pressure. The OE fuel pump is fine if you're not doing anything too crazy, but we're gonna upgrade it. Let that drain for a second. To upgrade the fuel pump, we went to Holley Performance and picked up this 255 liter per hour pump. This thing has the overall same dimensions as our OE pump, so it's as easy as just taking this one out, putting this one in. Since we already replaced the fuel pump once to get our Honda running, everything came apart pretty easy. So all I have to do is disconnect a couple hoses, install the new pump, and plug in the connector. All right, that's as easy as that needs to be, and that's all we got to do in the back of the car.
With Jimmy taking care of the fuel system in the back of the car, I'm gonna handle it underneath the hood. Now, anytime you add more air to your engine, like with a turbocharger or a supercharger, you have to have a way to add more fuel to the car. So we're gonna be adding a set of bigger injectors. Well, what we did is got a hold of Jason Waters Tuning, and the guy's practically a guru at tuning Hondas. So we told him what turbo we're running, how much boost we're adding, and what type of horsepower we're looking for. And he set us up with a set of 500cc injectors. So what I'm gonna do is switch these out for the ones that are in the car right now, and then we're gonna move on to a way to control these things. Fuel rail back. Get in there, O-ring. There we go. So now I'll just add these little seals or gaskets down here in the intake. These will help seal the bottom side of the injector. And then we can put the injectors in. All right, so with these injectors comes a jumper harness. So we gotta just plug them into both sides, the injectors and into the Honda side of the connections. Then we'll move on to how we're gonna control these things. Now, to help us control our fuel system and the engine, Jason Waters also sent us an ECU with this little Honda S300 module installed. Now, that little module right there vastly expands the tunability of our ECU, especially now that we're applying boost to the engine. This install is pretty easy. All we gotta do is unplug the old one, use this little jumper harness, and then we'll just plug the new one in. This will work right now, just sitting on the floor. When we start wrapping up the interior, we'll find a permanent spot to mount that, but we'll take care of that a little bit later.
Along with our turbo kit, we also got this all aluminum radiator, and this thing is really nice because the stock fan and shroud bolt up right to it, so we don't have to do anything with wiring up a new fan, and the stock overflow tank will fit just fine. and the top hose. One last thing we got to do is install the exhaust that we got with our kit, and we went ahead and wrapped this with DEI's titanium exhaust wrap. And while we were at it, we picked up a new titanium turbo shield, and this is going to help us control temps under the hood. So once we get this on, we could head down to the dyno.
With our upgrades ready, we get a little help tuning our boosted four-banger. All right, guys, we're down in engine power, and we have our little Honda Civic strapped down to the dyno, and we have Jason Waters and Chip Myers in from Jason Waters Tuning. Now, if you guys remember, they're the ones that sent us the ECU and the injectors for our little Honda turbo setup, and they're here today to help us pull some horsepower.
And these guys have already set up the initial timing and put a base tune in it. So guys, what is there left to do?
Everything's set up, dyno's ready to roll. Nothing left but just to tune it.
All right, let's hit it.
That's good.
All right, guys, car's warmed up, and get ready to do the first pull and see where we're at.
Dude.
I don't know how to read it, but what's it read?
159 and 158 pound-feet.
What? 159 horse?
Yeah.
That's 60 horse, 60 horse?
Yeah, just on the first pull.
Holy cow.
That's awesome.
Good start for sure.
Yeah, how much do you think you'll be able to get out of it?
I mean, it's still a little rich.
Yeah.
You know, it's on 6 pounds of boost, so realistically, what it made 90 horsepower, 85, 90 horsepower stock.
93 was the best one we had.
Yeah, so it'll make a little more. You know, then we also have the boost controller, so we can turn it up a little bit more, really. You know, depends on what you want to see out of it.
What's comfortable horsepower number for like the stock motor? Like we didn't do anything there.
Yeah, ideally, I like to keep most of these in and around 200 horsepower or less.
Okay.
Some of the motors will, you know, if as long as the customer doesn't care about, you know, the possibility of something happening to it, we'll go to 220, 230. But
Wow.
you know, 200 horsepower is kind of a good point for a stock single cam.
That'd be huge.
Well, to
Yeah.
double it in such a light car, like,
Right.
Go from 85 to, you know, 200 horsepower is a huge jump for something like this. So,
Yeah, it doesn't weigh nothing. And you do that all with tuning, right? Or the wastegate?
The wastegate's what's going to regulate the boost, but we have a 3-port solenoid plumbed in and wired to the ECU, and the ECU has the PWM components to control that. So basically, we're going to pulse the boost controller to add more boost on top of the wastegate spring.
Cool. It sounds amazing too. It's a little smelly, but it sounds amazing. Are you changing stuff or?
Taking a little feel out of it up top. It's still a bit rich, like 5,500, 6,000 and up. Just kind of building a fuel map around what the car wants. So, all right, base pull, 159 horsepower. Got some adjustments in, and upload these changes, and then go ahead and do another pull and see where we're at.
Every time that gets me.
173, 159.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty much it's about tapped out fuel and timing wise. So really turn the boost controller on, turn the boost up a little bit, and we should be good. So
How many pounds of boost are you reading?
it's between 5.5 and 6 pounds of boost.
Okay.
Wow.
Right up top, it's 5.7, 5.8.
That's amazing.
You know, making solid power for the boost level.
Yeah, like that's like pretty mild,
Yeah.
you know?
More boost time.
Yeah.
We're ready to go, ready to do another pull. So let's see where we're at.
All right, let's do it.
Come on, 200 horse.
203, 180.
203 horsepower.
That's awesome.
Dude, we broke the 200 horse mark. Is there anything else you think we're good? You guys, we got the 200 mark, so.
Should be good.
I think it's good, man. Like I said, you don't want to get too crazy with these stock motors. So, you know, 200 horsepower is the goal. We hit it. So let's leave it there.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming in. This is exactly what we were looking for, was about 200 horse, so we really, really appreciate it.
And if you guys like anything you've seen on today's show, go to PowerNationTV.com and be sure to check out our project pages where you can see more of this car, project junk mail, and our square body tow truck. But let's get this thing off the dyno.
Yeah, we're done. Let's unstrap it, go have some fun.
Yeah, thanks guys. That's
I really do
awesome.
appreciate it. That's pretty amazing to pull 200 horse out of this. So. Pretty awesome.
Today on Carcass, we take our Honda rally car out for a rip. But before the fun, some more work needs to be done.
We'll put on the final touches, adding some race-ready suspension, fabricate some strut braces for better handling, and add some safety inside and out. Hey guys, welcome to Carcass. What you see in front of you is our 1996 Honda Civic rally car that put down an impressive 203 wheel horsepower with the help of a little thing we like to call a turbocharger.
And to go along with that, we ripped out all the interior, put in a roll cage and some racing seats, and today we're going to finish it off with some rally-specific coilovers, some new wheel and tires to grip the gravel, and then we're going to go down to Alabama and pay it off at a rallycross course and see what this thing can do.
Sounds great. Where do you think we should start?
Suspension.
Cool. I'll go get a jack.
Yeah.
I'll get the wheels and tires off.
Let me get the coilovers. All right, these are our Rally Spec coilovers that we got from K-Sport. These are going to do great for our Honda because they have a lengthened shock stroke and a longer spring to handle any bumps that we're going to see on the rally course. They also have a heavy-duty top plate to handle the extra abuse, and they have 36 levels of dampening adjustment so that we can try to make this car grip up.
Now before we can install our coilovers, we got to take apart the complete front suspension. Now there is one piece we already installed, and that's a set of axle shafts. We picked these up from Insane Shafts, and they're capable of handling over 500 horsepower. Now we knew we weren't going to hit that 500 horse mark, but we did want something that would hold up to the abuse. We'll start off by loosening the nuts that hold on the tie rod end and the upper ball joint. Then we can tackle our brakes. Get this caliper off of here, because we're gonna do a little brake upgrade a little later too. We'll use a hammer to separate the lower ball joint and pick the whole spindle assembly free. There's that. We'll remove the bolts that hold on our old strut. And follow that up by removing the upper and lower control arms. We'll also remove the old, worn-out inner tie rods. All right, so now that we have all the old parts out, it's time to start putting some new parts in this car. So we went to rockauto.com, plugged in the year, make, and model of our Civic, went down to the suspension tab, and clicked on this front-end kit. Now the best part about this is it's one assembly. I didn't have to go individually search out the upper and lower control arms or the inner and outer tie rod ends. This came as one setup. They also have assemblies like this available if you guys are looking to do brakes. They have pads and rotors, or if you're doing tune-ups, they've got plugs and wires. So I got a whole bunch of new parts to put in the car, so let's get started. To assemble the suspension in our Honda, we'll do everything the same but in reverse order. We'll start with the inner and outer tie rod ends, follow that up with the lower control arm, and the upper control arm. We'll install our Rally designed coilovers. And lastly, we'll throw on the spindle with the new ball joint already installed. Now we're going to be doing a brake upgrade on our little Honda Civic, and we're going to be using EBC brake pads and rotors. Now you guys hear us talk about EBC all the time, and you may think that they're just a performance brake company, but they have many different styles of brake pads that could fit your car or your truck. Now what's the easiest way for you guys to figure out what you need to run? Well, it's as simple as looking at the colors. Their red stuff is a ceramic pad, and these are great for your street and your sport use. One of their most popular pads is their green stuff pad, and this is good for the street and daily driving use. The high friction formula on their yellow stuff pad makes it great for your street and your race use. And then they have their blue stuff pad. This is a track day pad, and it works great for your high performance vehicles. They also have different styles of rotors you guys can run. These are their replacement OE style rotors. They have slotted rotors. They also have their GD drilled and slotted rotors. And what we plan on running on our little Honda Civic are the GD rotors and the yellow stuff pads. This setup will work perfectly on our rally car, especially when we have to do some hard braking on the course. All right, that wraps up the passenger side. We'll move on to the side, and then we're going to take care of a couple things under the hood. We take our suspension one step further for improved handling.
Jeremy's got the suspension all finished up, and to wrap this whole thing up, we've got some new wheels and tires. We've got MRF ZDM3s from Tire Streets. These have an asymmetrical tread pattern designed for sandy to loose gravel conditions, and where we're going, it's very dusty, so these should be just fine. And to go with that, we've got Spec 1 wheels from Custom Wheel Outlet to really finish off the look of our Honda. All right, so we've got the suspension, wheels, and tires on this thing, and we're gonna take it one step further. We're gonna be making some shock tower braces for the front and the rear. The purpose of these is to make the chassis a little bit more rigid, which will ultimately make the car handle better and be more predictable. And from a driver's perspective, this should inspire a little bit of confidence and hopefully result in a faster lap time. So I'll start from the back, work our way to the front. We'll see how we do. All right, in the back here, it's gonna be pretty simple because we have a lot of room. I'm gonna be using the same tubing that we use for the roll cage. I'm just gonna make a plate to go over each shock tower and then run the tube straight across. In the front, it's gonna be a little different because we don't have the luxury of having a lot of room, so I will be using a little bit smaller tubing. But first thing, I have to take a measurement and then cut some stuff out on the plasma table. Bolt hole spacing about 3.125. This is my favorite machine. Just makes life easy. With the brackets designed, I'll take them over to the plasma table to cut them out, bend them up, and tack them together. All right, let's see how it is gonna end up. All right, that looks pretty good. Really simple as it needs to be, so I'll weld these up, then we'll put them back in, measure for the tube to go across. With the brackets welded up, I'll set them back in place and take a measurement for the tube. It looks about 37 5/8. Then we can cut out our tubing, set it in place, tack it in, and then fully weld it. Once everything is cooled off, I'll put on a couple coats of paint to match the roll cage and drop it back in for the final time. We'll repeat the process for the front end, starting by taking some measurements, designing it, and cutting out the brackets on the plasma table. All right, so I've got the strut tower brackets and the firewall bracket in place. So now all I have to do is measure for our tubes, cut them out, and then we'll finish this thing up. And 19 and a half. 12 and a half. All right, let's cut some tube. We'll be using 1-inch tube for the front. Once everything is fit up, I'll drop in a couple tacks. Pull it out and fully weld it. All right, looks like everything lines up, so just put a coat of paint on it and then we'll be finished. Coming up, we take care of some final safety components to our Honda rally car.
All right, well, we're super close to getting this little Honda out on the course, and the outside is pretty much buttoned up. Now it's time to focus a little bit on the interior. We already remounted our dash, took care of some of the wiring, made some custom door panels. But now it's time to worry about some safety. We already have our seats mounted, but we never mounted our harnesses, so that's what I'm going to work on right now. So what I have to do is mark the location of our harnesses here on the floor. We're going to get rid of the seats, and then we'll make a couple holes. Now we'll get the seats out of here. Okay, now that we got the seats out of the way, we gotta drill some holes in the floor because we're gonna end up mounting these little eyelets and these clasps to our harnesses that we got from Race Quip. Now we could just use a drill bit and drill through the carpet, but it could end up fraying, and we have an easier solution to that, and that involves this little piece of pipe and this butane torch. We'll start by heating up the end of the pipe, and you'll know when it gets hot enough because it starts to feel warm in your hands, but it should go right through the carpet without a problem. Just like that. There you go. Now we can drill our holes and install our eyelets. All right, now here's the best part. All we do now is clip on these hooks that we got from Race Quip, and then we just thread on our harnesses. All right, that wraps up the install on the driver's side. Now I'll mark the holes, do the same thing on the passenger side.
While Jeremy's finishing up the other harness, there's one last thing we want to add to our Honda, and that's more lights. Because as a rally car, even a rally car, if it doesn't have more lights, I don't think so. So we went to Summit Racing and picked up these 3.5-inch LED lights. We got 4 of them. They come with this little mounting bracket and some stainless hardware, so you can put it wherever you want, and this is going to be the perfect touch to our Honda. I'll start by removing the bumper. This will make it easier to cut out the center section to make room for the lights. Cool. Now I can mount the lights. All right, so I already kind of laid out some marks to get the spacing right, and then I'm just holding up one of these brackets here. That way I can mark each set of holes, and that'll give me a real easy way to figure out where to drill. Once we have our marks, I'll pull the bumper back off and then drill some holes. Now we can install our brackets and our lights. Hey Jeremy, give these a look here.
Flip them on once. Holy cow, those are bright and they're crystal clear.
Yeah, they have a good spread too.
Yeah, that kind of makes our stock headlights look like junk, but you know what? I do have a solution to fix these things. Sweet. Now we're going to be restoring the headlights on our little Honda Civic with this ceramic headlight restoration kit that we got from Cerakote. It applies in 3 easy steps with no power tools required. Now this is a little bit different than your standard headlight restoration kit in that it has a professional grade ceramic coating that chemically bonds to the headlight surface. And it gives you outstanding UV protection that will stand the test of time. So let's get started. Using the supplied oxidization remover pads, we'll wipe the headlights down 4 separate times. Then I'll wet down the headlights to clean them off a little bit. I'll start sanding with the red disc and then follow that up with the gray one. Now we can get ready to apply our ceramic coating. All right, so we're only gonna apply 1 coat with this. We're gonna start from the top, work our way to the bottom, and we're gonna do a 50% overlap. Cool. That pretty much wraps up our little Honda. Now Jimmy and I get to load this thing up and head out to the rally course. It's time for some fun. We take our Honda to the track and start slinging some dirt.
We're out here at Holly Tree Off-Road Park in Alabama, and we're gonna see what our Honda Civic can do. So we're gonna take it for a few laps and just have a bunch of fun.
Let's time this too, and let's just see how fast we can get around this thing.
I'm gonna beat you.
Let's do it.
All right, dude.
Here it is.
You ready?
I got the watch, you got the steering wheel. Let's go. That is so awesome.
All right, little slippery. And we're self-clearancing the fenders already.
Yeah, no doubt.
That suspension's not doing too bad. It's actually doing a really good job.
Really? Yeah, it's floating really nicely. Don't blow the corner. Oh, that's too much fun. I can't believe how well it handles for a front-wheel drive car. Maybe it's all in the driver, though. Oh, pick a gear. Oh, he's going inside. $108.
Yeah, I don't know if that's good or bad, but,
but you made it. That's pretty good. I think the car held together nicely. You can hear the fenders, but
I can squeeze the dust between my teeth.
yeah, you spit it out.
Otherwise, yeah, I probably could have dropped it a gear in a couple spots, but
Well, I don't know. It sounded like, I mean, the motor was spooled up nicely, I guess if you call it spooled up, but
yeah. Well, dude, that's awesome.
that's fun. And then on that back part, that's got that little kick to it.
Dude, like, I mean, we didn't jump it, but for it to like handle a big bump like that, I mean, geez.
Oh, holy cow.
All right, dude, so that is one of the most fun things I've done in a car, because we've never done anything like this, and like I've never done it outside of, you know, this project.
Right, you know, and we built the car on the cheap, and I think you had enough time in the driver's seat. I think I need to turn now, and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, what was my best time?
1 minute and 8 seconds, what you ran it in.
All right, well, that's the score to beat then.
All right, let's switch here. My turn.
Good luck.
My turn. Get me in this thing. Oh, I don't know which way I'm going. This thing handles amazingly well.
Inside, inside! Oh!
That one stuck up on me a little bit.
Nice.
That is so much fun, that's scary. Holy cow.
I don't like being the passenger as much.
You know, it's quite a bit of work over here, though. It's unbelievable how much you turn.
Yeah.
And actually how well it sticks. Got it!
Eat that cone up.
It is fun. Holy cow, man. This thing is an absolute blast, and I'm super happy we got to drive it down here at Holly Tree.
And to think in total, we probably have, I don't know, $5 grand into this thing, and it's this much fun.
Yeah, so that pretty much wraps it for us. We got a little bit of daylight left. We are absolutely gonna go hammer on this thing a little bit more. See you guys later. Well, if you guys like anything you've seen on the show today, why don't you go to PowerNationTV.com and we will see you next time.
And be sure to check out our project pages where you can see this Honda Civic, Project Junk Mail, and our C30 tow truck.